Tolerate.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
It's not human intelligence!
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? It's Monday. It's a brand new week, but the same old shit. So we got fun stories as usual, disastrous stories, of course, but good news. Good news. Oh, interesting. So now, first, of course, we're going to talk about the Donald Trump taking documents, of course, following that story quite a bit, including maybe some developments in the special masters. People have been throwing their hat into the ring to become the special master, which, by the way, still sounds kinky. And I'm not going to lie. Like, oh, yeah, baby, you can be my special master anytime. Oh, yeah. Weird. So we'll talk about that. We have, of course, some video here of Trump taking documents that is getting some fresh new scrutiny. I'm going to show you that. Talk about it. We got Laura Loomer and a really, really interesting possible lawsuit, which has already fallen apart. Oh, I love that story. Lauren Boebert, of course, being dumb. And some of the good news, like I said, we have a nurses' strike. So we're going to cover a little bit of labor news today. So that said, why don't we jump into it? And before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so, of course. Helps us out. Also, another way to help us out, become a member on YouTube or become a subscriber on Twitch, or also become a member on Facebook. All these different things that you can help. You can help the show. Super chats, of course, are fantastic. I like to read them in the chat. So you can send those on YouTube and all that stuff. So, all right. Anyway, why don't we dive into the stories? We're going to start out with some documents. We got the documents. So what you just saw was video that has resurfaced of former President Donald Trump getting into a plane that is also being filled with boxes of documents. I don't know what's inside the documents. We don't know, but that video has invited fresh scrutiny. So now the video was dated back on May 8th of 2021. And again, the reason that it is resurfaced on the internet as of late is due to the filing, a new filing in the investigation by the FBI about stolen classified documents that they had found at Mar-a-Lago. That particular plane was going from Mar-a-Lago to Bedminster, New Jersey. So now, this is, again, because of a recent Justice Department filing asking Trump-appointed U.S. District Court Judge Eileen Cannon to basically let them continue to review the roughly 100 classified records seized by the agency at Mr. Trump's estate last month. So now, so far, Eileen Cannon has prevented the FBI from looking into more of those documents, awaiting a special master. So now, in the filing, prosecutors said, look, Mr. Trump's team might even be now holding some of the documents back. Some of these classified records that were removed from the White House. So basically, we need to take inventory. We need to take stock to see if he still has stuff. So now the timing of this video is very, very interesting because, again, it was taken just days after the federal government had contacted Trump about returning some of these missing documents. After one of the many times the National Archives had asked Trump, according to Insider, to just return all the classified documents that they had taken from the White House when they left, so they could be returned to where they belong. That includes those that are top secret, and that should be in secure government facilities. They're so highly classified that they should have been in these facilities all along and not sitting around Donald Trump's storage closet, where just any rando can go in and out. Documentation like, for example, the military nuclear capabilities of a potential, an unidentified foreign country that they had found. Yeah. So now let's get into that. On May 6th, the National Archives and Records Administration contacted Trump's team to say that there were some high-profile presidential documents that appeared to have been missing. Gary Stern, the agency's chief counsel, wrote to Trump's lawyer saying, "We know things are very chaotic, as they always are, in the course of a one-term transition." Well, you're really rubbing that one in, aren't you? but it is absolutely necessary that we obtain an account for all presidential records. Now, the Trump team, of course, had already sent them boxes of classified documents, but did not send them all. And so now, some of which, of course, Trump had privately said, they belong to me. They're my documents. I'm going to keep them. They're mine. They're mixed in with my stuff. So, I'm not going to give them back. So, right there, let's talk about entitlement. Donald Trump thinks he's entitled to things he doesn't actually own. Why? I was president. They elected me president. Billions of votes. Billions of people served. Lots and lots of people served. Tremendously served. Best president ever in history of the entire United States and the world. Of course, those documents are mine. They belong to me. Mine. But, okay, no. But that's not how it works. Those are not his records. They belong to the United States of America. They belong to the government, of which he is no longer a part of. So the stuff that does belong to Trump is the other stuff that was intermixed with those classified records. For example, newspaper clippings, Time magazine covers, personal letters, like the love letters, Kim Jong-un. We don't care about any of that. We don't want any of that stuff. Whatever. But I do care about the classified information that does not belong to him that could compromise United States national security. If, and I say if because I have absolutely no proof of this, but if he had planned to, or maybe even had sold some of these secrets to a foreign or maybe even domestic buyer, well, that's a problem. And look, on the domestic front, that's a possibility I've never heard anyone mention yet. I mean, do you think that maybe some anti-government, militia types would love to know some of this information? Of course, that assumes that they would have top dollar to pay for it, to be fair. But again, that's conjecture. I don't know. But back to what we do know. The same court filing from the FBI showed that the evidence seized from Mar-a-Lago contained somewhat around 43 empty folders with classified banners and a total of 48 empty folders with classified markings. Where did those files go? What happened to them? Maybe those were some of the, boxes that were being moved to Bedminster. We don't know. Now, if you're smart, and I will concede that, no, Donald Trump is not exactly the smartest person alive, but maybe he is just intelligent enough to not keep all those eggs in one basket. Like, oh, sure, we're going to keep some at Mar-a-Lago, and then tell them that we return them, right? And then we're going to take the rest and we're going to move them to Bedminster. They'll never even know. Maybe they have the secret cloaking technology from the F-35s. They're totally invisible, 100% invisible. We will cloak them at Bedminster. No, the guy's ridiculous. Idiot. Moron. And not only that, but dangerous. Dangerous moron. But again, that's assuming from this video, and we don't know, that these documents were some of the ones that were taken from the White House to begin with. They could just be his personal records, but seeing how disorganized he really was and how he did mix in his personal stuff with the classified information, there's a good chance that maybe some of those boxes did contain classified data. And look, if that's the case, maybe they ought to look at Bedminster. I'm just saying, you might want to look into whether or not he might have classified documents at Bedminster. And if that's the case, I wonder if FBI is looking at another raid. I don't know. So we'll have to see. Let's talk more about the treatment of the documents here. That also sounds dirty. Who is writing these lower thirds? Oh, right, it's me. I don't...
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, serious stuff. Terrible. Former White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham recently told USA Today that she had regularly saw former President Donald Trump mishandle sensitive documents. even going so far as to stuff secret records into the pockets of his jacket and carry them around. Now, Grisham, of course, told the outlet that this posed a potential national security threat. Yes, it did. And of course, all of this is coming to light as a result of the FBI's not only search of Mar-a-Lago, they had actually retrieved classified information, as well as empty folders that were marked classified. We don't know where the documents are. And so there's this big investigation into Trump. So now, she said, when it came to his handling or mishandling of this document, these documents, she said he either didn't realize or didn't care that these were, again, that him carrying these around made a potential national security threat. So now I would say in response to that, he doesn't care. Of course he didn't care, given how he basically ran his campaign in 2016, calling for the arrest of his political opponent for mishandling documentation, albeit digital documentation in a different way. By the way, it wasn't classified documents, but they did present a possible security risk. Okay. But here's the thing about Grisham. Okay. So she says she saw this happen. Oh, yeah. He just, would take it and he'd stuff it in his pocket. Then why didn't you say anything? At the time, you didn't seem to be too concerned. Did you? Again, if you did, well, then, you should have said something if you were concerned, because that is a problem. Or maybe at the time, she was in the White House, she was in power, and she was a little enamored with the job. Oh, he's breaking national security protocol. Don't care, because I've got a good job and a good pay and good future. So, and now that she is no longer in that position, as she had resigned after January 6th, because she finally realized, oh dear God, Donald Trump is a literal danger to the Republic. Well, I mean, now, he's doing illegal things all along, and now I know it's wrong. I saw it. So understand that while I believe her story, because there's no reason for me not to, there are no good people in here. There are no winners here. There's a lot of losers, right? No good people in this story. Stephanie Grisham is, again, terrible person, because all the other stuff that she had seen when she was in the White House that she has come out and talked about into the media and on her little publicity tours and all that stuff wasn't enough of a problem, wasn't enough of a deal breaker until January 6th. But I also will, talk about some of the reporters, right? Some of the reporters who had also found this stuff. The fact that he had, flushed documents down the toilet all the time.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
A lot of times. And it's because it's clogged full of secret documents or possibly secret documents. And they didn't report this. They didn't report this at all. Not until they could write their book first, after Trump was out of office. I mean, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's gross. And it should be noted as such that a lot of these reporters and a lot of these former Trump officials are basically trying to still make a buck off of that administration, off of Trump, and, let these really damaging, terrible things go in the pursuit of profit. It's ridiculous. So that said, more about the mishandling of these documents, including those which, again, may have been top secret enough or were top secret enough to require that they be stored in secure government facilities. We know that he had intermixed these highly classified records with other things like newspaper cuttings and scraps of Trump's handwritten notes and Time magazine covers. And we also know recently, this was, I believe, on August 30th, that Grisham had spoke to the Washington Post saying that during Trump's time in office, records would just disappear. Gone. Any documents, she said, that made it to the White House residence were the boxes Trump carried around with him. Usually the body man would have brought them upstairs for Trump or someone from the outer oval at the end of the day. They would get handed off to the residence and just disappear. Disappear. Gone. And of course, as I mentioned before, he'd regularly rip them up, burn them, flush them down the toilet, you know, which is why he complained about no water pressure. Look, if you're the White House plumber, you would have been super, super pissed. But look, here's the thing. He didn't care what was classified or unclassified. The man was lazy, disorganized. And according to staffers, he would treat these records just like they were his. The ultimate entitlement. The ultimate entitlement. The man is nothing more than a thief and a con man who, once again, just continues to feel entitled to things that he does not own. All right. Moving on, let's go to the judge. Fun times. Let me just, get this out of the way here.
Sexual anarchy.
Okay. We got it. Last week, Trump-appointed judge Eileen M. Cannon had approved Trump's request to appoint the special master. Now, the special master, of course, is forced to go through some of the documents or all the documents seized from Mar-a-Lago and figure out what is, privileged information, if there is any privileged information. And there's a big argument happening right now whether or not the former president has any sort of executive privilege over any of these documents. Now, the question, of course, of who would be appointed to fill such a position that would satisfy both the Department of Justice and the former president. And it's a good question, right? Are they ever going to agree on anyone? Now, so far, we have no definitive pick, which is why, at least in one area, American patriots have stepped up to offer their services as special master. Now, this is according to an article in Mediaite. The Southern District of Florida court docket in Trump v. United States of America has received multiple unsolicited letters from members of the public offering Judge Cannon advice, as well as volunteering to serve as special master to review the documents seized during the search. So let me go here to a Topeka-based mediator, Angela Gupta, who wrote to Judge Cannon on August 30th, offering her services to the court as special master, saying, "I'm writing to express my willingness and desire to serve as special master in the Donald Trump matter," wrote Gupta, describing herself as an apolitical attorney in Kansas. Well, of course you want someone who's apolitical, right? Whose only goal is to help you reach a just decision under the law. She then touted her over 30 years of legal experience. And current work exclusively in the neutral role as mediator and arbitrator, and had offered several names as references. My resume is included for your review. I know this is a long shot. Oh, well, goodness. Oh, look at that. What a way to get your name in there. Just throwing that hat right in the ring. But there's another one. This is Philip A. Rakita, who sent this letter. Dear Judge Cannon, or is it Dear Your Honor? Ooh, did a little buttery there. Buttery action. Buttering her up. I'm not quite sure what the job specifications are for such an assignment. Oh, that's a great way to start. Great way. Nailed it. But I would like to offer my services for this task that I have no idea what it involves. He then described himself as only a retired businessman with an amateur's interest in history, politics, and the law. But I promise you, I'll perform the task to the best of my abilities. The best. The greatest. Rakita admitted his lack of a law degree and said, if you feel obliged to select someone with a law degree, you can appoint me as that person's advisor or legal assistant. I will work pro bono. Because, look, you can't pay me because that's going to mess with my Social Security benefits. Okay, fair enough. As a citizen, native born, taxpayer, and voter, I want to help make our country a better place for all of us. Please tell me how I can help. He also wrapped up his letter by pointing out that he had a connection to the Southern District of Florida Court District. What is that connection? Well, it turns out, well, both of my parents are buried there, and I have fond memories of visiting them when they were still alive in the previous century. He's nailing this one. Does that detail add anything to my application for that special master job? I hope so. Your friend and partner in jurisprudence, Philip Rakita. Loyal American. Loyal American. Oh, that's great. Now, there was another one, but it wasn't part of the application. But this, nonetheless, shows how one person feels. And this is Orain M. Cornish Sr., otherwise known as a distressed U.S. citizen. He says that while perusing the Yahoo News face page on my computer, that he was offended and repulsed by the statement by the Trump's attorneys, which identified Trump as the president instead of former president. I find this extremely offensive as a citizen of the United States. The fact is, as I'm sure you know, the USA has just one president at a time. To allow such verbiage to go unchallenged is to give aid and comfort to the continued efforts to undermine the democracy of the U.S. Please, I beseech you, to not let that arrogant falsity go unchallenged, because it is corrosive to our freedoms, our society, the form of government we choose to live by. See what happened on January 6th? Hey, not a bad point. Not a bad point at all. And in the postscript, Cornish wrote, in the interest of appearance, suggest you recuse yourself. Not bad advice. In fact, I agree with Mr. Cornish. I absolutely agree. So, look, as far as the rest of these, right? Why not? Look, at this point, the whole special master thing is pretty much a joke anyway. We know Trump, in trying to get a special master, is just there to waste time. He's stalling. Whoever that is going to go through the documents and then buy him, what, an extra few days? I don't know. But maybe it'll be enough time for him to come up with his next defense, assuming his clown show of lawyers actually can figure out something. But that said, there are some actual real possibilities that do not involve randos as much as we love them. The Justice Department has actually proposed 2 former federal judges for the job, Barbara Jones, who's a Clinton appointee, and Thomas Griffith, a George W. Bush appointee. Oh, of course, those are not going to go, over well, I think, with the Trump team. Whereas Trump's picks are retired federal judge Raymond J. Dearie, appointed by Reagan, and Paul Huck, conservative lawyer who has served in Florida state government. Again, I can pretty much guarantee that anyone chosen by the Trump side is going to be incredibly biased towards Trump, or his side will complain. I mean, again, that's how they got Judge Cannon in the first place. They continued to complain and complain and complain and file until they finally got the judge that they were looking for that gave him exactly what he wanted. So yes, they will complain, bitch, piss, and moan, and ultimately waste everyone's time while they try to wait out the clock. So there it is. All right, let's go to Laura Loomer. It's always fun. Laura Loomer, the insane right-wing activist who has refused to concede her primary election that she had lost, is, well, at least some people on her behalf are suing to redo the election. Because, of course, supporters of Loomer, who has so far, again, refused to concede and claim without any evidence that she was a victim of election or voter fraud, are suing her opponent and Florida's election commission to demand a redo. Yes, we need to redo the election because we didn't get, the outcome that we wanted. And we think that if we waste everyone's time to do it again, that we are going to somehow get what we want and win. I honestly don't understand why they would actually believe that they would win this if they were just to do it over again. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems like it's super, super desperate. But anyway, that aside, there seems to be one problem with this lawsuit. Actually, several problems. One of it includes a plaintiff that was put into this lawsuit without her consent. So now this is Orange County voter Teresa Rinaldi speaking to the Daily Beast, saying that while she voted for Loomer, yikes, she did not consent to being added to this lawsuit as a plaintiff. Rinaldi said that she had seen Loomer, a right-wing activist with a history of stunts and anti-Muslim comments, on the campaign trail once at one event before the August 23rd primary, and really wasn't super impressed. Well, I didn't get a great feeling. I don't know, it's just me. This is the gut feeling. And yet, she decided not to go with her gut and decided to vote for Loomer anyway. I mean, why would you do such a thing? I guess she explains that, hey, look, it's because I just wanted somebody new in Congress, a new face, even if it is that insane person. Republican voters, guys. Now, that said, she didn't think that there was any election fraud in that race and accepts the results completely and wants absolutely nothing to do with this lawsuit. Quote, I want my name off of that because I did not witness any voter fraud. Oops. Now, getting to Will Sommer's report in the Daily Beast, Rinaldi said her troubles with the lawsuit had began a few days ago, when an acquaintance who knew she had voted for Loomer asked her if she would talk to a lawyer about her experience. Interesting. That lawyer turned out to be John Pierce. John Pierce is a right-wing lawyer. I'll get to some details about him, with a history of taking on some conservative causes. Now, look, I don't care if you're a lawyer that wants to represent conservatives. That's fine. If you want to do self-sabotage to your career by representing insane people, well, that's up to you. Maybe you'll get famous. Maybe you'll end up like Rudy Giuliani. Sad and pathetic and full of gas with hair dye leaking down your face. If that indeed was hair dye. I don't really know, honestly. Now, in their phone call, according to Rinaldi, Pierce never said that she would be listed as a plaintiff in any sort of lawsuit, misleading her, of course. He also claimed that while speaking to him, Pierce spoke rapidly, making it difficult for her to understand just what he was talking about, just what he was saying. Pulling the old Ben Shapiro. Classic. Quote, I felt like he was tricking me in that phone conversation. I really did. That said, when the conversation ended, she said she didn't think anything of it until later on seeing her name in the news as an alleged plaintiff. Quote, when I saw the article, I just about fainted. So how is this for irony, right? A lawsuit over fake fraud involving at least one fake plaintiff. You can't make it up. It's so indicative of what the far right has turned into. They just, at this point, they just make things up. Oh, yeah, no, we allege voter fraud. Okay, where's your evidence of voter fraud? We don't actually have it. But we're certain, though. We're certain, though, that it actually happened. We just can't prove it. Right. Oh, by the way, you're all a fake news. Based on what? We just don't like you. Oh, okay. Yeah, great. That said, look, Loomer, Pierce, and another lawyer, Jared Williams, who was representing the Loomer plaintiffs, the alleged Loomer plaintiffs, did not respond to requests for comment. The Daily Beast was also not able to reach any of the other 4 plaintiffs listed on the suit to find out if they actually exist. There is a very big possibility that they're not real. I wouldn't put it past them. Oh, yeah, no, we got these 4 plaintiffs that, allege voter fraud. Okay, where are they? You know what? They're somewhere else. They're, that's not important. The important thing is that voter fraud. Ah, right. Or, they could go into more classic arguments.
It's the devil, okay?
The devil did it. Or
it is an alien force, not
we
of this
don't know.
world.
We don't know. They could have stolen the election too, or it could have been the Italians, the Iranians, the Pomeranians. Could be the Chinese. I mean, we don't know. The fake elections, fake fraud, fake news. Okay, we just need a do-over. Laura Loomer needs a do-over. Again, look, I don't know. That said, Republicans are the party that, at this point now, have been propagandized to believe that all elections that they lose are fraudulent, are rigged somehow. Again, you don't need evidence. They don't believe in it. They just don't believe. They don't need it. They don't need it. Now, okay, so back to Rinaldi, right? Now, she claimed that she had a second call with Pierce on Saturday, in which he had promised to take her name off the lawsuit. Okay, so that's good. She should have never been on that to begin with, and if she's getting removed, then I guess there's 4 mysterious plaintiffs. Okay, sure. She recalled telling Pierce, quote, "Why did you put my name down? I'm not gonna lie. Maybe he hoped, I don't know, you wouldn't notice, or honestly, I have no idea what this guy's thinking, but when you look into his past, things start to make sense." Now, according to the Daily Beast, once a high-flying lawyer with a large firm bearing his name, Pierce's career has struggled amid financial woes and restraining order requests made by his ex-wife. In court filings, Pierce's wife claimed that he abused cocaine and threatened violence, domestic violence against her. Jesus Christ. Maybe, of course, that would explain why he went full Ben Shapiro speed on the phone. I mean,
wet ass P word.
Honestly.
It's like a Sharknado, except with poop.
After reinventing himself as a go-to lawyer for right-wing causes like former Kenosha shooting defendant Kyle Rittenhouse, Pierce began representing a bevy of Capitol riot defendants. However, Pierce lost a number of those clients when he mysteriously disappeared for 2 weeks back in 2021, emerging later with no explanation for where he had gone or why he had left his clients in the lurch. Bro, homeboy just disappeared on you for 2 weeks. What? What is going on here? No, it's okay, guys. I'm back. I just had a 2-week bender. It's fine. It's fine. I'm here. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready. Look, allegedly, of course. I don't know if he still used drugs, but wow. Now on Twitter, of course, Pierce told his followers the Daily Beast was, quote, writing a hit piece about him, which we see how that could be possibly taken that way. But look, he did not address Rinaldi's allegations that he had just signed her up for this lawsuit for no reason. So real class act, this guy is, okay? So now, That said, back to Rinaldi, after being named without her permission, she said that she has not heard from Loomer at all, who's, again, just kind of, other than crying, disappeared. At least not contacting the plaintiffs that are allegedly supposed to be on her side, saying, quote, if she's going to sue, then let her sue. I got news for you, she won't. Now, maybe she's going to, say, oh, maybe I'll sue and do this. But first you need to, donate to my Substack or something. I don't know. She'll find a way to raise money off it somehow. But I doubt that even in the case that people actually give her money, I doubt any lawsuit's going to happen. And the chance that it does, it's not going to go anywhere. Fact is, there was no voter fraud in this primary. It was a Republican primary. No, what it is that this has become the go-to excuse to deflect from your loss. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican primary. It doesn't matter if it's a general election. It doesn't matter if it's a presidential election. Now Republicans have taken this position that anytime they lose an election, it's voter fraud. It's election fraud. It's nefarious. It's the deep state or the aliens. It's something. But it's not them and not the fact that they're just insane and running on incredibly unpopular platforms. I mean, and there's one good thing that I think that I can pull from this story, from the loss of Laura Loomer. She has shown that with Republican voters, there is a line. There is a line where they will not vote for people like Laura Loomer. She is too much of a clown, too much of an insane person for even Florida Republicans. I'll take that as a win. You take your W's where you can, my friends. You take your wins where you can. Okay. Couple more stories.
I'm Adam Frisch. I'm not Nancy Pelosi.
There was no CBO.
Do you think we should repeal the 19th? Do you think we should repeal the 19th Amendment?
Excuse me?
Do you think we should repeal the 19th Amendment of the United
No.
States Constitution? Should there be an exception for rape, incest, or the life of a mother when it comes to women's health care?
Is that in relation to the 19th Amendment, or we're just going on?
No, most people have a pretty quick answer if they want to repeal the 19th Amendment or not.
That was Representative Lauren Boebert, basically exposing how little she knows about the Constitution. Couldn't answer a question. Fun. So let me, of course, tell you what the 19th Amendment was. It granted women's suffrage, meaning the right for people like Lauren Boebert to vote. That has absolutely nothing to do with the right to an abortion. So, in fact, the Constitution actually does not have an amendment that specifically outlined the right to an abortion. There's no actual amendment that says you can have a right to an abortion, but it was tied to the 14th Amendment through the Roe decision. Specifically, of course, the right to privacy, meaning the government could not invade your personal decisions without the state having a compelling interest, which is why, of course, under Roe, states were able to do bans of abortions after a certain point, the point of fetal viability, because at that point, the state actually did have a compelling interest into protecting an independent life. That's how Roe worked. Now, of course, Republicans got rid of Roe, that it's specifically the ultra-conservative Supreme Court. So, now, if you don't know that, and you're a congresswoman, well, that's not a good thing. That's a terrible thing. Okay? How she is able to serve, much less tie her shoes, while having absolutely no idea what she's doing is beyond me. She should know the Constitution. It seems like that should be the bare minimum here. If you swear to uphold the Constitution for your job, you should know what's in it. Bare minimum here. We're not talking like super high level of intelligence here, okay? We're just talking about you should know what's in the Constitution. But look, we make the joke a lot of the left does, that modern Republicans can only really name the first two amendments in the Bill of Rights. That's the First and the Second Amendment. But honestly, they can't even get those right. I mean, again, I show you that, or I tell you that because there has been this constant abuse of the First Amendment. So much so that it would make Thomas Jefferson get up out of his grave and slap Lauren Boebert across the face. Okay? Or some of the rest of these people. Okay? The First Amendment, free speech. Okay? Free speech is a great example. The First Amendment says, when it comes to freedom of speech, that you can criticize the government and not get arrested for it. That's what freedom of speech is. Okay? That does not extend to threats. It does not extend to fomenting insurrection. And it does not extend to private corporations like Twitter. And it's amazing to think that people in this day and age think that the First Amendment is supposed to protect you against being banned on Twitter. That's not how it works. Look, if you want something like that, if you want a social media platform that protects your freedom to say whatever you want, again, not including threats or, violence or anything like that, okay, well, we can have that conversation. Let's talk about a public utility, maybe turning Twitter into a public utility. That would, that would basically involve nationalization. You want to have that conversation? Lauren Boebert, we can have that conversation. You want to have that conversation, right-wingers? Let's have that conversation. I'm interested. Now, the same people who get free speech wrong also seem to, slaughter the meaning of the freedom of religion. Having a freedom of religion doesn't mean you get to do whatever the fuck you want to other people in the name of your religion. That's not how it works. It sure as hell doesn't mean that you can establish a religion if you're a member of government. Sorry, Republicans. You can't just install a state religion. Can't do it. The government cannot promote religion or force anyone to believe in a religion or favor one religion over the other. I mean, again, these examples alone show that a lot of these right-wingers don't understand the Constitution at all. Don't get me started on the Second Amendment. So, and again, that's the only two they seem to know. No, they have no idea what the Constitution actually means. They just have this weird romanticized version or vision of what they think it means, which happens to align perfectly to what they want. And in fact, they, also do that same thing, that very same thing to the Bible. While, cherry picking out the things that they like and ignoring the things that they don't. Like, how no rich people go to heaven, how you should, give away your possessions to the poor if you want to, walk with Jesus, and the whole fact that the, Old Testament, the laws and rules in the Old Testament pretty much are ignored thanks to Jesus. No, they ignore it, all of it. They don't care. They don't care about their the books or the documents that they swear they have a huge reverence for. No, they're idiots. They're hypocrites. Like Lauren Boebert. She doesn't belong anywhere. She doesn't belong on that podium, for one. She doesn't belong anywhere near power. Secondly. Okay. Yeah, we're getting through these stories real quick. So I've got one last one for you all. And that's actually some good news. Some labor news. On Monday, around 15,000 nurses in Minnesota walked off the job after months of failed contract negotiations. Now, members of the Minnesota Nurses Association last month had voted overwhelmingly in support of what the union says is the largest private sector nurses strike in U.S. history. Now, they say they did this because of the hospitals habit of putting profits over people, which, again, in the American healthcare system is not entirely surprising. Now, nurses with M&A argue that hospital executives who make millions of dollars per year, and I'm going to go through and detail some of those figures are just gigantic. They refuse solutions to short staffing, retention, and better patient care. So look, what we saw during the pandemic, of course, is you had nurses, you had hospitals that were stretched to the breaking point. You had medical officials that were dying from COVID just before they had vaccines. And so, shoot, and even afterwards, but, you had all of this burnout as well from nurses and staff that were just overwhelmed with the amount of people and patients that they had to see and the amount of death and suffering that they had to watch, because there wasn't a whole lot they could do about it in a lot of these cases. So following that, and again, being called, heroes, nurses and you're the heroes of the hour, and then not paying them and not ensuring that they have time to be able to unwind and process the things that they've seen, or to even take care of their own families. No, that's ridiculous. But again, it's indicative of what we see all the time in our American healthcare system. So now that said, Chris Rubesch, M&A vice president and a nurse at Essentia Health in Duluth, told the Washington Post that he supports a 3-day strike. So this is what they're doing. They're just taking strike for 3 days. So now that's a lot. Of course, it's going to impact patient care, of course, but understand that while they don't want to have to impact patient care, at this point, they've been given no choice. They have to do this in order to make their demands clear. And so I guess I understand, like, on the one hand, it's like, oh man, these people, these nurses there's still patients that need to see, and it's going to impact their healthcare. Yes, that's true. But you also have to be on the side of the nurses, because they're not getting what they deserve, what they actually need to do their job effectively. So now, Rubesch has an example of this. He says, call lights go unanswered. Patients should only be waiting for a few seconds or minutes if they soiled themselves or their oxygen came unplugged or they need to go to the bathroom. But that can take 10 minutes or more. Those are things that can't wait. And again, that's not because the nurses don't want to do this. It's because they're overwhelmed with the amount of patients and the amount of work that they have to do. Minnesota Reformer reports that in addition to demanding staffing fixes, and this is what they're asking for, paid sick and parental leave, nurses seek a 30% wage increase over the next 3 years. So that is 10% each year. Hospitals have countered with just a 10% flat increase over the next 3 years and say that, we just can't afford to get any higher. So now let's get into the numbers, right? Where we can find maybe some of that money. Essential Health Services actually have paid their CEO, David Herman, about $2,697,603 in annual compensation. You know how many more times of pay that is compared to the RNs? About 31 times. CEO makes 31 times more a year than the RN. Is the CEO doing 31 times more work than the RN? Are they getting 31 times more burnt out? Are they changing 31 times more bedpans? No. They're not doing anywhere the equivalent of the work that these nurses are doing. And they're getting paid 31 times more. No, that's a huge problem. But there's more. The executive VP, Jody Mansfield, makes about 17 times more than the average RN, bringing in nearly $1.5 million in total compensation. And then you have the CFO, Human Resources Chief, and Population Health Officer make around 8 to 10 times more than the average RN, somewhere around $700,000 to $800,000 per year. Gee, I wonder where we can find the money to pay the nurses. And it seems like all you have to do is just maybe trim some of that excess fat off of these CEOs, off of these highly paid executives. Why is there an executive CEO that makes almost $3 million in a year? Now, let me give you more information. Alina Health. This is the one of the hospitals that has striking workers. Here is how much the former CEO and board member, Penny Wheeler, receives in annual compensation. About $3,241,167 per pay, compared to the average RN is about 38 to 1. And the other executives, again, making millions, and on at pretty much all of these different hospitals where you have these striking nurses. Now, of course, you have the hospitals, they're not blaming the CEO, these executive pay. No. They're blaming the workers, the nurses. How dare you? Oh, you're asking for too much. In fact, spokespeople for Alina Health and Twin Cities Hospital Group, two of the systems where workers walked out, said that they refused to go to mediation. Oh, they wouldn't mediate. They wouldn't talk to us. Really? There was negotiations, and the hospital said, no, we're just going to give you 10%, and that's it. We're not going to fix anything else. We'll just pay you a little bit more, and then we'll leave it. Well, that's not going to fix the staffing issues. It's not going to fix the fact that they're not doing good patient care because they don't have enough people, and they're getting burnt out. Now, striking nurses say that the walkout was forced by management that was intractable. In fact, here's Brianna Nath, a nurse at North Memorial in Robbinsdale. Quote, we're really sad and disappointed that it has come to a strike, but we feel like this is the only thing we can do now to show the administration how incredibly important a strong nursing corps is to a hospital. Hospitals tell us it's our fault, but we've been actively involved and getting nowhere. That's unfortunately how it goes. And until now, they haven't had any media attention. But this is where they actually did get some media attention, because you had high-profile politicians that actually have stepped up. I'm going to give credit here to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, who, of course, is a huge supporter of the nurses and their walkout. And then, of course, you have Ilhan Omar. Here's what she tweeted. I'll be outstanding in solidarity with our nurses at Abbott, Children's, and Fairview today. Come join us and show your support. That's good. And then, of course, Senator Bernie Sanders, who tweeted this. I stand in solidarity with the 15,000 MN nurses on strike this week, fighting for safer care, fair scheduling, and higher wages. Nurses are the backbone of our healthcare system, and they understand what's best for their patients. Wonderful. So, look, that's how you get attention, right? And it's good that they have this attention coming from these high-profile politicians. Wonderful. Look, again, it may not be much, but just acknowledging that these things are happening, acknowledging that there is, a strike that is going on, because you have people that are not able to do their jobs well enough, because they don't have the resources, they don't have the pay. Again, they're getting burnt out, etc. And while these same CEOs of these hospitals are getting paid millions and millions of dollars in executive packages. You got to point that out. And I'm really glad that Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison, and Bernie Sanders are doing that. Otherwise, let's be honest, it might have not gotten picked up by the story, or picked up as a story. Because, look, mainstream media doesn't like to do stories on unions. They don't like doing stories on labor strikes. And oftentimes when they do, usually there's a perspective on it that happens to be the corporate perspective. So when these politicians, and this is why it's so important for progressives to have a platform and to use that platform to continue to elevate strikes, which again, we've seen, again, with the Amazon labor union, being supported by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and, other politicians. Again, Bernie Sanders, who always seems to speak out in favor of a lot of these strikes, or many of these strikes. That's a good thing. You need to have that, or else mainstream media is not going to talk about it. They're not going to cover it. They're not going to, try to bring any attention to it, because they are aligned with the large corporations and the bosses. The people who, will try to shut down and bust those unions, and ensure that these workers do not get what they're asking for, which again is just like the basics to do their job. They deserve that. So, look, I love to see it. Again, nurses, they're the backbone of the medical field. They deserve better pay. There does need to be more staff, because that actually is better for the patients as well. If the executives actually gave a damn about the patients like they're supposed to. Again, your hospitals are supposed to care about patients. Instead of seeing them as just a number on a screen, well, they would be making sure to give nurses and medical staff everything that they need to do their job effectively. But we know, again, sadly, like everything else in this country, it's become a commodity. Healthcare has become just for profit. Now, I happen to believe differently. I think that healthcare is a human right. I think it's a human right, just like shelter and food. And I think that there's no reason in this country or anywhere else that we should not, as human beings, shouldn't be entitled to have the very basics that we need to survive. That's just me. All right. That's all I got there for stories today. Jonathan Leiter, with the very kind $3 super chat, says, let me get to that. Here's to almost 1K viewers today. I am not sure what happened, but if you're new here, welcome. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We're here 4 p.m. Eastern daily. So, and we do plenty of fun stories as well. Let's see. Let's go here and see if there's any more super chats or Twitch messages as well. Nothing on Twitch actually, but thank you to the mods over there on Twitch. Love you all. And of course on YouTube mods and Facebook. We're still looking for mods there. So no worries. Super chat here. All right. Not sure why my previous message was not sent. Called Boebert on her intelligence. Yeah, I didn't see that, Gabby Mathis, but thank you for the $10 anyway. I don't know if it got caught by auto mod, which generally I would see, but yeah, I don't know. Still, thank you very kindly for the super chats. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you all watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Throw me a wrench. Facebook. I need some mods on Facebook to help out with that. We seem to be all right for YouTube at the moment. But I have had personal experience. I have had some YouTube super chats that didn't go through, and it might have been I was signed in on the wrong one, or just, again, YouTube glitch, which happens. All right, those of you on Twitch, by the way, we're going to raid into someone else. Let's raid into haven't done a left link vets, so we'll direct you there. Tell them sent you. Jeff sends his regards to everyone else. Again, hopefully you enjoyed the show. We'll see you all back here tomorrow, hopefully 4 p.m. Eastern, right here, Waldorf Nation. Love you all. Thank you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, Nation. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Beta male.
Amazing.
don't do it. Oh no!
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Get in a long tube with a bunch of bees.
Disappointed!
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Bitch, move it along.